Greetings, folks. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. Today in the virtual pub, his second visit, and he's slurping down on something very interesting looking there. I remember last time you were on, you had something interesting. This is, Mr. Craig Crawford. Glad to have you back, mate. So what is that?
Thank you, sir. This is Clown Shoes, which is a brand, and it's Ancient
I remember
Hills.
last time you had something bonkers as well.
Yes, I like the oddball beers. So
Yeah.
there's this whole line of a brewery called Clown Shoes, and they make some really dark, really heavy, but really good stuff. So
yeah, I do like I used to drink I used to drink stouts and porters and things like that.
And that's what these guys do.
I've got type 2 diabetes, so I've got to knock that head.
I know. Yeah.
But I had fun while I had the chance. And every now and then, it's all right as a treat. But I can't sit and drink many of them, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Oh no. Yeah. Nope. They're heavy and they got some pretty high alcohol content on these too. So
what is it, like an imperial porter or something?
It's a chocolate malt stout. Aged in bourbon barrels.
Lovely. Oh, that sounds fucking beautiful.
And it's 10% alcohol by volume, so
nice.
It's got a kick on it.
Yeah. It sounds like a dessert as well.
It actually that's kind of what it is. It's almost like a
dessert. Really, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a lot of that over here. They have these beers that, I don't know if they were intended like that, but when you get like family dinners, and my granddad would always slope off to the bar when it comes like dessert time, and he'd be there to smile dessert.
Yep. It's like, I'm gonna go get some dessert.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some dessert. My granddad's there, hammering back with stout.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So it's great to have you back, mate.
It's awesome to be here. I love talking to you. We always have a good time.
Yeah. Because we kept in touch since on Facebook and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ron from Manison Press contacted me and said, "You've got a novella coming out." Which congratulations, mate.
Yep.
Yeah, and he told me the concept of it. I'm not going to say. I'm going to let you explain the concept of it, because he told me, and it was just like, oh man, that's going to be cool. Knowing your style from things I've read, from like your story in The Course from the Forest, and from like Don't Mess with Bunnies. Knowing your style, this is going to be good.
Well, it actually started several years ago. I've got a good friend, and she knew I was writing, and I've got a quirky set of kind of humor. And for Christmas, she gives me this book, and it was like a parody book of super villains and superheroes. And I opened it up, and she looked at me and she said, "You could do something like this."
Yeah.
And I read it, and it was pretty funny. And about a year before that, my wife and I had moved into a new house, and we had room to kind of entertain. So we had a Halloween party. And so everybody's dressing up, and I'm sitting there trying to think, everybody expected me to come as something creepy, something monstrous. And I'm like, well, what can I do to really shock them? So I dressed in a suit and a tie and a vest with devil horns and a tail, and painted my face and hands red, and started handing out business cards as this Davey Lish, attorney at law.
Devilish.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah. And so after I read the superhero book, and then I was turning stuff over my head, I thought of Dave, and then it just kind of escalated from there. And so basically the book is him doing a treatise on evil and how humanity just constantly screws up evil. They don't understand evil. And he also goes on the premise that while most people think they're pretty pious, 99% of them are still going to hell because they just don't get it. And so this whole book is kind of a parody of self-help books, and he's trying to help people do evil properly. So
sounds brilliant.
And it was Ron and Deirdre. I told him, it was this Davey Lish, but I wrote it, and Ron and Deirdre came up with the idea of referring to me as the meat suit, which I thought was just brilliant.
That is brilliant.
I was like, I love that.
So this dude is basically your alter ego.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. when I ever end up in an institution, yeah, they'll have to deal with him, not me.
Nice. I love it. It's just such a great concept because over here, like our mass market books, it's just swamped with this bullshit. It's all like biographies of celebrities who have not even reached puberty yet.
Right.
And all this self-help crap.
Yeah.
Written by these people who haven't got a clue about the world. It's like written by some guy who's about 20, and all of a sudden he's an authority on everything.
Right.
So yeah.
Yep. So that's the basis of it. So
basically taking pot shots at that kind of thing.
Yeah, all kinds of things. So
this sounds like right up my street. This I love this kind of thing, like just subversion, just like yeah.
I kind of steered away from politics only because in Dave's mind, it's too easy. He takes a few pot shots, but it's like, you know what? You guys are a mess, and I don't. It's
like our old friend Cthulhu, isn't it? What does Cthulhu care about politics?
Exactly. It has no place. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
No, he's the devil. Damn it, he can do what he likes. He doesn't care what he say. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good thing, because I think that's another way. The place I've seen hundreds of them on Amazon. These books that are basically satires.
Right.
You've got a lot of them come out of America at the minute, which is quite understandable.
Sure.
There's been a boom of it. I mean, we have it over here every now and then.
Right.
When we have a politician that everybody hates. Or,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And over here, everything is so divided now. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Oh, I know. I see the news, and it is literally like somebody's drawn a line.
I know it.
Madness, isn't it?
It is complete madness over here right now. So
yeah.
So I avoided all that because I didn't want to get bogged down in a mire of nonsense, and like I said, it doesn't matter right now. He's above all that. So Dave's got his own things on. He's got his own ideas on just about everything, and he's not afraid to say it.
I love it. See, this Dave sounds like the sort of guy I'd like to go down the pub with.
You know.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I do kind of have to watch myself, because Deidre was asking me questions because we're working on the cover, and I was like, yeah, I think Dave would approve of that. And I started talking about him like this, real person. I'm like, but I was trying to think in Dave terms, and I'm like, yeah, Dave's cool with that. Yeah. So I'm probably, you're probably catching me right at the precipice of splitting personalities. And
yeah. That film Identity. There's going to be you, Dave, and a killer rabbit.
Let's ask the rabbit what happens to him. Yes.
Yeah. No, you see, I still love that book. So I tell people about that all the time. It's one of them things, I don't know why it just resonated with me so much.
Right.
It's like, funnily enough, I've actually done a custom graphic for this video, which I think you'll approve.
That's cool.
I'm not going to tell you what it is.
All right.
Surprise.
No, that's cool. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I like your writing style, because
Thank you.
For me, it's that the right kind of humor for me.
Yeah.
It's quite Python-esque in a way. It's all kind of, because we discussed this last time, didn't we? It's I don't know. It's just quite sarcastic and a lot of satire, and I like that.
And I kind of mostly I like the horror kind of thing, but every now and then something pops out, and I got a story published with the Sci-Fi Lampoon, and it's called Old World Whiskey, and it's these two college guys taking home a bottle of booze, and they can't quite get it right, and they're being swindled by the liquor store proprietor, who is basically the devil, and he's screwing them over, and it goes back. So most of my stuff is dark horror, but just every now and again something goofy pops out. And
well, it's the same with me. I mean, there's a lot of humor in pretty much everything I do. I just can't, I can't help it. It just sneaks in.
Well, and I think with horror, it is that kind of you kind of push people down the dark path, but then you pull them back a little bit, or you alleviate a little bit, and then allow them to catch their breath, and then jump back in and back out, and it is a process, I think. And
yeah, I think of it like the same way, because how I would judge a DJ set, where you'd have the hard stomping one, and then you'd bring them down a bit. Bring them down a bit further, and then you take them back up again. And that's the same way I see it as using humor, because I like to pull them down from under people.
Yes, and you do that well too. Yes, and so I think humor and horror go kind of hand in hand to an extent.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I've said that for years. It's I think they're perfect bedfellows. Just you're laughing 1 minute, and the next minute you go, what the?
Yeah. Oh my God. What did they just do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I like that style. And it was like, you got me with that Buddies. It was just like, whoa, that went dark, and then I'm laughing again.
Yes. Well, take something not scary and try to put some fear into it.
Well, that's something else that we share, isn't it? Because we both like doing that.
We do.
Like, and something really innocuous and making it evil. Right.
Yeah. And it's a challenge. And
I've got it hands down, mate. That's my hat's off to you on that one. Seriously.
Well,
not since Monty Python as a bunny did that fucking evil.
Yes, and that was beautiful bit. That was the best. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, so when's this coming out then? You're
September 9th. It's up on Amazon.
Is it
it's not live yet, but there's a page for it, and the Kindle.
Is there a pre-order link on there now?
Yes, I believe so.
Cool. I haven't got anything now, but I'll put it under the video when it goes up.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't realize it had gone up. But,
they sent me a link last week. But I don't think you can. There it is. Yeah, I think it's. I say the. Oh, I think the Kindle version is live, but the paperback is September 9th.
Yeah. Cool.
So
cool. Yeah, I'll put some links on it. What's the title of it again? Because it's a great title.
Dave Elish presents The Beginner's Guide to Being Evil.
Love it. Dave Elish. I love that.
Yeah.
It sounds like the singer in a horror punk band. He could be the guitarist in The Damned or something.
Right.
Or something.
Right.
I love it. It's a great name. Yeah. Oh, there needs to be a Dave Elish like tribute band or something.
I'm totally fine that. I would totally back that if it comes to that. So why not?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You got to think about different avenues for
right.
Oh, Dave Elish, I love it. Yeah, because it's funny we onto that. Cause are you planning some doing some merch and things like that?
Yeah, and I've got a couple local bookstores that tend to carry stuff by local authors, so I'm going to contact them. I'm going to get in on that. I'm going to put some stuff up on my website, and I'm working, actually Zazzle, I've got a couple designs up now.
Wait, what's Zazzle? Because I know Redbubble and Etsy. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, Zazzle is just another, they sell t-shirts and mugs and all kinds of stuff like that, and you can take a royalty percentage, but it was actually pretty slick to design. I could drag images and load it in and then apply it to t-shirts and stuff. And then, so I think I'm finally live. Ron contacted me this morning asking, and my Zazzle thing, I got an email that there was an issue with it, but then I got on, it was fine. So they put everything through a review process before they allow it to go live.
Yeah, of course. Well,
and I totally get
copyright and stuff, I guess.
Yep, copyright and appropriate content and stuff like that. So
you're just selling pictures of penises.
right. Yes. And stuff. So
because I bet some 14-year-old somewhere has done that.
I'm sure they have.
I bet
Probably 50-year-old has done that.
Yeah. You're probably not wrong either. That's the scary thing.
Yes,
Oh,
and stuff.
but
So,
the one time I looked on Craigslist, I was actually looking for a chair, a second-hand chair, and that was all literally just pictures of people's penises.
I
It's
figured.
just like,
Yeah,
it's like, that's not a chair, is it?
right. Craigslist is pretty questionable and it may still be. I haven't been on it for ages.
No, I don't know what it's. I don't know what it's like. I've heard nightmares of it over there. Over
Yes.
here, it's become basically a kind of respectable, like, buy and sell.
Yeah, which is what it was intended to be.
Yeah. I mean, I know they've cleaned it up a lot recently because there was a lot of really questionable shit on there.
Yes,
But
there
when
was.
I looked on it, it was like it was a few years ago before they cracked down on it, and it was
Right.
literally just pictures of body parts.
Yes.
That's all it was. Like, come and meet me tonight.
Right.
No, I want to buy a chair for my fucking office.
Yeah. Where's the chair?
Yeah. Go away. I want to buy a chair. It's time and a place,
Yes.
people.
Right.
Yeah, because I think they've had to crack down on it because I know in America it was basically like the serial killer's address book, wasn't it?
Right. I think so. There was a lot of shady stuff.
There was the Long Island guy, wasn't there? Long Island, they never caught.
Well, and then a lot of people were posting stuff for sale on there, and then you'd go meet them and get robbed or mugged, or I mean, it wasn't across the board, but I know those kinds of things happened, and so you had to be careful with stuff like that. And so it was pretty shady for a while. And
I know the drug dealers using it as well. I know that was over here. That's one of the things they were cracking down on over here.
Right.
It was like code words.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I know
people were using it to buy their heroin. It's just like,
right.
Yeah. Here's bloody me looking for a chair.
A chair. Yeah. Legitimately trying to find a chair.
Yeah.
Yep. That's funny.
Getting all these hits for other crap. It's the world, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of where everything's at. It's just.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's a perfect world for Davy Lish, isn't it?
Well, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah.
I had written this a few years back, and I had sent it out, and I got nowhere with it. And I mean, just rejection after rejection. One lady, she was like, "Well, if you take out all of Dave's commentary and rewrite it, then I'll take a look at it." And I'm like, well, if you take out all his commentary, then there's not much left. And in which case you just really don't get it. And so I was like, nah, I'm fine. And then, but, I think too, with the explosion of the independent publishers and all these little presses popping up, medium, and independent presses, this Dave thing was, I just had to wait for the right time and the right place and wait for its moment.
Slightly off kilter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You've got to wait, haven't you? You're so, like, getting the right thing, the right time.
Yes.
I mean, I tell that to people all the time when they ask me about publishing.
Right.
It is 9 times out of 10 a lottery. I mean, I could send a story to one publisher and then send it back saying, nah, today. Yeah. I could send it to another tomorrow and they'd say, hell yeah.
Right. I've had that happen too. It's like I'll get a rejection and they're like, that's not really what we're looking for. And then the next guy comes along and they're like, oh my God, we love this story.
Yeah.
And that's the neat part about independent publishers. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
You still have to write a good story and edit it and go through all the marks.
It has to be of quality or you're not going to.
Yes, it does. But if you write something that is decent, sooner or later, somebody's going to jibe with it. And, and I'm fine with that. I read stuff all the time and some books fall flat for me and other people are like, oh my God, I love this book. And to me, it's like, I could care less, but then I'll read something and it'll just blow my mind. And, so why wouldn't publishers be the same way? Everybody's got their yen, whatever.
The beholder thing, isn't it?
It is completely and utterly.
Yeah.
And I like that though, because it's, it's a fleshed out market and there's, tons of perspectives and everybody's got their own taste, but
I
you
think
just don't give up.
I think the indie publishing thing is really having a boom.
I think so too.
And it's a great thing, because for so long it was, you know, if you couldn't get in with one of the big houses, you were self-publishing or you weren't doing it.
Right.
It's as simple as that. But now you've got all these like sort of bigger,
mid-level and
houses,
yes,
that are putting out this quality stuff, and the readers are actually going, well, this is great, because this is people I've never heard of. This is new stuff, and it's fresh and it's different.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever written mainstream enough to catch the big five.
I don't think I ever will, to be honest.
I don't think so either.
To do.
No, me neither. I like writing the way I write and what I write, and I'm with you. I like getting things published, and I like to think that my stuff is halfway decent, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to end up in that cookie cutter.
I don't want to be one of them guys who writes this shit that he doesn't like, because you read about it so much. These guys who've been given these big contracts, and they end up having to churn out novel after novel after novel of stuff that they really don't care about.
Right.
And they end up releasing the stuff they do care about under pseudonyms. It's just
right.
Like, you know, I don't want to fall into that trap. I want to do what does it for me, you know, and I don't want to. It sounds pretentious, doesn't it? I don't want anybody messing with my art.
Right. Like, it is, but I don't. You know, it's your style and my style too. It's like I kind of go down different paths with stories, and I like being able to do that. And
me too. Yeah.
But I'm just not sure my stuff is ever going to fit with the big mainstream, and that's fine. I don't know.
No, because I mean, I would class a lot of what you write under the big umbrella as sort of weird fiction.
Right.
Like mine, it
just goes all over
because it is it's off center. It's not
right.
And
I'm okay with that.
I'm really happy with it, to be honest.
Right. And I just love that there are markets out there that appreciate some of my stories. That's the big thing. And
well, I didn't try getting published for so long because I was convinced nobody will take any of my stuff, because it was a bit weird and whatever. And back when I was looking originally, which is I'm going back about 10 years or something, there wasn't really anywhere to go, especially in the UK.
Yes.
I mean, in America, it's always been slightly like better, because
there were a few more, but
yeah,
it seems like in the last few years, it's just presses are popping up all over the world, and especially because of the internet, and it's a global market now, and you can I mean, we can read stuff that's coming out from any press in any country in the world, and that's beautiful too. Because
that's something I love, because it's like, again, like when I was growing up, you'd have like the local shop, it'd be all the big published stuff, and you'd every now and then you'd find an author in like an anthology or something like that, like somebody named one of the Japanese authors or something like that, because I really like some of the Japanese weird fiction.
Yeah,
like Asamatsu Ken. He does like Cthulhu mythos, but Japanese, and it's really cool. And for years I was like, damn it, I need to read some more of this guy's stuff. And then all of a sudden, popped up on in English translations on Amazon. And I was like, right,
yes,
sold. You know.
Well, and that's the cool part too, because now we can get fiction from different cultural perspectives, in the horror genre. I do too, because it really is a window into their culture, and that's cool. I love that different perspective.
Yeah, me too. It's it's like, so I remember one of the first this like was fairly mainstream because of video games that were based on it, but Dmitry Glusev, I can't pronounce his name, he wrote the Metro books, which I remember picking one of them up because it was like based on a video game, and I played the game and I was like, oh, it's brilliant, and I read it and I was like, bloody hell, that was bleak. And now there's this Russian guy, and it's all like dystopian, or living in like subway tunnels, and it's full of mutants and all these abominations and stuff, and it's really bleak and it's really disturbing, and I absolutely loved it.
Right.
Because it was so different.
Yeah.
It's like zombie books and things like that, and post-apocalyptic books and things like that. There's a lot of them, right? But this was unlike anything else I'd ever read.
That's cool. And that's the good stuff. And when you really come across something that really bends your mind.
Yeah. It was just different, even though the tropes were all there. The thing, it should have, if it was written by like an American author, it would have been like a lot of other books, or a British author, it'd be like a lot of the books.
Sure.
But because it was like it's so authentic and it's the little details, isn't it?
Right. And what is important in a individual person's life and their culture and their country. And, yes, there are all those intangibles that just show up in your writing. Yeah. I agree.
And I love the fact that now we can go on Amazon.
Right. I know. And you can get access to everything. I know. My book reading list is stacked like a mile high because I keep, things like this and talking to other people and other writers, and they're like, "Oh, have you read this?" I'm like, "No, but it sounds good. Damn it! Now I got to buy that and throw it on a pile."
Try to get to all the time, Because I remember all these groups as well, all the author groups and all the rest of it. And I'll see something pop up, like it's literally like every other day, something will pop up and go, bollocks, we'll have to buy that.
I know, and I'm like, I want to buy that, and I got to just wait a minute because I got to read something and get something off the pile. And then, so.
Yeah. That's the other thing where Amazon are really sneaky is they send you them emails, don't they? Saying, you liked this and you liked this. How about these 15 books?
Right. I know. It's like, I do want them, but.
Yeah. At least wait till payday, man.
Right. I know. That's the hard. Because it's so easy to just hit that button.
Oh yeah, I don't have a card linked to it for that reason.
I fell down that hole.
Yeah, I had a nightmare years and years ago. I banned myself from eBay. I used to have a habit. If I was working in a hotel, right? So I was kind of like keeping really late hours and really, really drunk.
Right.
And I'd come in. And I'd be pissed up and I'd go, "Oh, that's brilliant. I'll bet on that."
Yes.
And then I'd forget all about it.
And you'd win.
Yeah. And then I'd forget all about it because my card was linked to it. It'd just go out. I'd go to the shop to get some like food and stuff. And I got the cash machine and my bank account would be like, and I'd be like, "Oh, what?"
Right.
That happened. It's just like what it was that put the nail in it was that it was a life-size stuffed emperor penguin.
That's cool.
Turned up on my doorstep. I totally forgot about ordering it. Postman turned up, right, Tim, the sign for this. I was like, "The fuck is that?"
And how much am I in for it?
Squidgy. And I was like,
yes.
"What the fuck?" And I got it inside and I was like, oh yeah.
Yep.
Now
that looked cool Saturday night. Yep.
And it's like, I don't even want to look at the bill. I don't even want to look at the invoice. I just don't want to do it.
Yep, I hear you. Yep.
Yeah, that's the danger of online shopping, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, so Davey Lish.
Yep. Yeah, I was trying to think of what else to tell you about it. I don't know. It's several chapters kind of going off on different tirades about.
Because it's novella length, isn't it?
Yeah, I think around 30,000-ish words, give or take.
Yeah. That's a decent length for a novella, yeah.
I think so. And that was just kind of the normal. It worked itself out throughout all that. And, he said everything he needed to say and kind of moved on and stuff, though. and then, like I said, I'm kind of making fun of everything, but in it, he talks about family time and how to teach your kids evil and spend time with them as opposed to, letting everybody being on their phones and, stuff like that. And
Yeah. So quality
yeah,
family time.
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So there's a good message in there as well.
See, yeah, it's
Just
a good
filtered
message.
through a lens.
And he talks about pitfalls to stay away from, and and all the things that stupid people have done in the past that have ended them up in hell because they were stupid. And
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
And it's got a test a multiple choice test you can take to see what your evil level score is. And then Dave goes back through the tests telling you why he picked the answers he did and where you fell short and stuff like that. So
this really is how to be a devil, isn't it? It sounds great. Oh man, you've sold me on it.
I don't know if we'll end up in the public school system, but if they want to teach the textbook, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds absolutely brilliant. I love things like that. It's just, yeah. It's like every now and then, it's something a bit different, isn't it? And you got that interactivity in there, and
right. That's what I hope. So,
yeah. No, I'm just I'm just looking forward to reading it now.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sure I will.
I did a lot of giggling writing it because I was just like, oh, this is funny. And I make a lot of subtle references to my friends in that book about just little, growing up in junior high school and college, I've got a crowd of friends that I'm still friends with, many of them, but we did the whole Dungeon Dragon thing and we would hang out and
excellent.
And so we've all known each other for like 2-3 decades. And so we all know each other's personalities and always poking fun at each other. And so I get a few digs in there. So
it's funny because it's funny because I'm still close with some of the people I went to school with. Not as many as I would have liked, but people drift away and things like that.
They do.
Well, there's a couple I'm still really close to, and it's really funny because if you saw us meet up, you'd think we were going to have a fight.
Right?
Hey up, you big knobhead! How you doing?
Right?
It's all insults. It's all
insults.
Hey up, dickhead! How's it going?
Right? That's kind of us too. It's
yeah.
The guy that stayed with us last week, him and his wife came and stayed at our place, and I've known him since he was 3 years old. Nice. And he lived down the hill from us when we were growing up, and so we were always together and went to the same high school. And I'm about 6 years older than him, but yeah, we have been friends for most of our lives. And
that's like my best friend Steve. He still lives up in Macclesfield, but yeah, it's like when we meet up, it's like we never left off.
I know, and I love that
straight away. Yeah.
Yes, you say hi, and then you just launch into it like you just talked to him yesterday.
Yeah,
that's the sign of.
Isn't it?
It is, and I
such
love
a good
that
feeling in it. There's never any. I mean, there was a while that. I mean, this is probably a while. Probably now is going to be the longest time we've not seen each other because I haven't been up there for like 2 years because of COVID.
Right.
But yeah, there was a time like it's been a couple of years since I've been up because I've been traveling about doing various bits and bobs, and you'd think there'd be a step. Nope. Went in, got a beer, sat down, just gone.
Yep, and start off. Yes, and that's when you know you've really got that friendship level to the next exponential level. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just it's cool. Mm. It's cool.
Yeah. So you do know the D&D and all the rest of it?
Yes, we used to play all the time, and I honestly just haven't had time to get back into it. I've tried a couple times. I had plans, and then, things just fell through. And with the writing thing now, I'm, pretty busy with that. Just, if nothing else, sending out stories and.
Because I was talking to, because I've done a couple of interviews this week. I was talking to somebody the other day, a guy, Nick Gerard. We're talking to him about it, and he was saying that a lot of people don't realize that it's like the writing is the fun bit.
Yeah.
And the bit that takes all the time and all the pressure is the bits that come after it. Like
right.
Trying to get it published, getting it edited.
Yeah, I know. Because, I mean, these days, if I get inspired on a story, I'll just sit down and churn it out. Take however long it takes to get it out and then leave it alone. But then I'm either editing another story to get it ready to send out. And I usually try and look stories over one more time before I submit them. But you know, I spend
like a last minute, like the last minute pass, you know.
I do too. Yep. But then I'm spending my time, you know, a certain amount of time each week looking for publications that are open for submissions and hitting my several different sources. And then, you know, and I'm tracking what I've sent out. And then, like I said, you're working on different stuff, or you're talking to these people, or like there's been a lot of back and forth with Dave or I keep wanting to call him Dave, Ron and Deirdre. Maybe Ron won't appreciate that I'm thinking of him in terms of Dave. Sorry, Ron. But you know, we were working on.
You know, I could see him being an evil genius.
But you know, hi Ron. Sorry.
You know he will be watching this.
Oh, he emailed me today and he said he was looking forward to watching this interview. So
cool.
I get all my apologies out now.
I emailed him yesterday about something. So I was saying, I said I was interviewing you tonight.
Right. But you know, that's another thing I like about the independent publishers, because like Ron and Deirdre, they are so hands-on with this stuff. And I love it when they say, you know what, this doesn't work. Because I'll come back and I'm like, you know, read over and I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, that's fine.
Well, I love that as well. And that's something I've always said about Madison Press is I love their process.
Yes, I do too.
Because I've worked with Ron quite a lot now.
Okay.
He's literally just finished editing my short story collection.
Nice.
So that was a long procedure because obviously you got to do every single story in it.
Right.
While doing all the other stuff, all his other stuff, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and his suggestions and everything like that, it's just perfect.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too. With these independent presses, you've got different editors, and they look at different things. They've all got their own, you know, idiosyncrasies in a good way. That things that like, well, this just doesn't sound right. And every time somebody points something out like that, it just goes into your head, and you're like, and so you're watching for it the next time you're writing, and
totally.
All of those interactions help me as a writer get better.
Yeah, I've had a couple of moments like that with Ron.
I have too.
He said, "This is something you do, and it's a bad habit."
Yes, but I appreciate that
because nobody else has ever mentioned it.
Right,
so, and I'm learning, man. I'm, you know.
Well, and that is it. It's off of those feedbacks and those, you know, counterpoints. It's like, a lot of stuff I do, I'm not even conscious of, you know, or I've got quirky little ways.
I get so wrapped up in what I'm writing.
I do too.
Don't think about the nuts and bolts of it half the time. I'm just focused because I write in almost like a stream of consciousness.
Right.
And I realized, I found out recently that it's actually called something called author sprints.
Okay. Oh, author sprints.
Yeah, that's kind of how I write all the time. I basically
I do too.
Yeah.
I get in, I gun and go and write as hard as I can and get as much out on the page as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm part of a Discord channel through this Dread Machine. They're picking up one of my stories
last time, didn't we?
Yeah, and they're still talking about doing a serial. They've had a couple of anthologies that have gotten the better of things, and it's fine. But they do writer sprints. I haven't participated because right now I don't really have a problem coming up with story ideas and things. Things just hit. So I haven't felt the need to get into that. But you know, you talking about that, that's exactly what I do. I mean, some nights I'll sit down and realize
it was a thing. I have an idea, but that's how I it's not because I mean, people do it to get an idea, don't they?
Right.
Whereas I get the idea first and then go, right, I know where I'm going, know what I'm doing. on.
Boom.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I do the same thing.
And I'll just batten down the hatches till I'm done, sort of thing, you know.
Right.
Occasionally
I
take
say,
a break to make myself a cup of coffee or a beer or something.
right.
And
Yep.
go back to it. Yeah.
And I plug in some tunes, throw on the headphones, and go.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I get the tunes on and I just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the late 2000s. I was looking for publishers and I came across this place that I think they're defunct now, but they were called the Wolf Pirate Project. And it was a place out of Florida.
I heard of that one.
And I submitted a novel to them and they wrote me back and they said, well, we don't really publish novels, but if you're interested, we will pair you with an editor. And they were getting editors to do pro bono work. Right. And then they would go through your novel and then pick it apart. Yeah. So I'm like, fine, yeah, let's do this. And so I did that for a fantasy novel I wrote, and it was great because the lady, I mean, she sent me the first email and she's like, okay, here's the first chapter. Go pour yourself a drink, open it up, and don't weep. And I opened it up. It was just redlined everywhere. It was just, it's like a serial killer went to work on it. But she was really awesome to work with because it was open-ended on my end that I could ask any question I wanted, and she would answer me and give me her reason why, because I would have things like, I think this sounds good. And she's like, but this is why it's better this way. Yeah. And so we went through that whole novel, and then I had read a fantasy novel where this author was telling two stories side by side and they intermixed at the end. And so I tried doing that. And then at the very end of the process, she said, this doesn't work because your reader's going to get attached to one story or the other, and then you're going to lose them. So she offered to.
I mean, that was. I don't read a lot of fantasy, but I tried with the, George R. Martin and people like that.
Yeah.
And it's precisely that. I lose interest because it's like there's books when half the characters don't even turn up in it. And I was like, well, but they're the guys I'm rooting for.
Right. And that was her point. And so she actually offered, if I wanted to split the story and follow one or the other, she would stick with me and I would start writing. And so she put me on a pace, man. She had me writing 3,000 to 5,000 words a week. And I'd have to turn that in by Friday. And then she'd do the edits and then kick it back to me. And then I'd have to get the edits back to her by Sunday. And then it'd start all over again.
Yeah.
And I did that from January through April. And I wrote the back half of the novel. And it's much better than it ever was. But she really trained me to write lots of words fast and get the story out of my head and down on paper. And I'm ever grateful for that because it's continued on. It's like, once I get a story going, man, I just sit down and write.
Well, I think I did the same thing without any, because basically I'm one of them people, if I don't have pressure, I won't do anything. I gotcha. Yeah. I will arse about all day and then go, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. So when I started, the first thing I wrote was a novel, which hadn't seen the light of day because it needs a lot of work. Because I was still, I hadn't written for something like 20 years or something.
Right.
And so I did it, but I did the same sort of thing. I set myself, I'm going to get 2 chapters done this week.
Right.
And I stuck to it. And when I started doing the short stories and things like that, I did the same thing. Right, I'm going to get this out this week, then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do that, and then and that way I'm productive. Because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't.
And that's something too. I blogged a little bit, but in thinking about writing, a lot of writers are like, "Oh my God, I got to churn out 3,000 words this week because that's my pattern." But I still think editing is writing, marketing is writing. All the things that you do on the side that aren't necessarily actively writing, it's still part of the writing. And if you're doing any one of those things, yes. And I have days too
where I will set aside for promotion and things like that.
Yes. But to me, that's still writing.
It is. Yeah.
It's all part of the whole package. And there are some days, I'll sit down at the keyboard and I'm like, I am totally not in the mood to deal with this story.
Yes.
And I will.
I'll do something else in that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not ready for this story because there's still something that isn't quite right. So I'm going to go look and see who's taking submissions, or I'm going to go clean up this other story because I know I need to. And so I'm always like, writers need to quit beating themselves up for not getting mass amounts of words on pages, because there's a lot of moving parts to being a writer, and you can work on any of it, and I think it all helps your creative process.
Yeah. Well, it's like these videos and things like that. It all takes time, and like promotional graphics and just sticking things all over social media. It takes time.
It does.
So I'll have days, usually when I've had a few beers the night before and I'm worthless for writing.
Right.
I will just go, right, I'll get all this done today. I'll make some graphics, I'll do this, and I'll make a video.
Yes.
And do that.
Yep.
And again, I spend a lot of time trawling through things like the Horror Tree, looking for some juicy submission windows, and it's all this stuff you've got to do.
Yes.
That I don't think a lot of people think about when they get into it.
Yes. Yeah. And I've learned a lot just from getting stories published about how all this works, and I'm still learning. When Bunnies came out, I did absolutely nothing as far as marketing or anything other than post it on Facebook and talk about it in a blog. And now with Dave, I'm starting to think in all kinds of different avenues, and I'm slowly starting to learn that world a little bit, and I'm probably not great at it, but you know what? It's an evolving thing.
Exactly. I mean,
and you got to do it.
I'm still trying to get into the, because I mean, again, it's just I spend quite a lot of time trying to promote and things like that, and there's things I've not been doing that I just only heard about the other day, like little tricks that people use and all this kind of. And because I mean, I think if you want to sell books, you have to keep looking at new ways.
I think so too.
To get them out there, because there's so many, like we were saying, which is a good thing, but it's a double-edged sword. There's many publishers, there's so many authors, which is great.
Yeah. It is great because there's a lot of good stuff.
It's really hard to get noticed.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. I've talked to several different people in presses, and most presses have like a 90 to 95% rejection rate.
Yeah.
So if you get a story published, that is huge. And I don't care where it is. I mean, you got to be patting yourself on the back if you get a single story published, because that means, and a lot of presses are you're competing against 200, 300, 400 other people. And for you to make that cut, you give yourself kudos because you have really done something.
Well, there is a publisher that I do some slush reading for.
Okay.
And I know, like, one of the calls they had, the volume of submissions was ridiculous. It was something like it was 300 plus stories, right? That they had for this one anthology, of which there was like 14 spaces.
Right.
It's just like
So you make that cut.
If
you make that cut, you wrote a badass story, and you need to give yourself credit for that.
Yeah,
because it's a tough market, and there's, like you said, there's a ton of writers, and there's a ton of good writers. So
and then because the thing is as well, it's like there's it's like, because I know for a fact, like on things I've been in and things like that. I mean, there's things that are like some fairly well recognized names will get rejected because the story wasn't quite right.
Right.
I mean, I've had it myself.
So have I.
I've had that great story, but just doesn't fit.
I've gotten that too. Yep.
I get that quite. That's probably my most frequent rejection, is that good story, enjoyed it, just not for this call.
Right. Well, and some of that is actually, some of it's my interpretation of what they're saying they want, and some of it's their interpretation of saying they want this, but they really do have something more specific in mind. But
because I know talking to publishers, it's like the one I do slush for. She says she will tell me what I'm looking for specifically.
Okay.
And it will be a case of, if and I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. So if something comes up, but it's a great story, but it's basically in the she didn't want pile, that goes in the maybes. You
Yeah.
know, saying I like
Right.
this one, I really like this story, not sure it fits, but it's worth a read, sort of thing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that, especially when you really like a story. But at the end of the day, the
Yes.
publisher has a vision, you know?
Yep. And
if
that's
you fit
fine.
that vision, great. If not,
And you know what? And sitting on the other end when I get rejected like that, I'm like, that is just fine. You know what?
yeah, me too. Yeah.
I get it. And you, again, I can tell they've got a specific idea of what they're really looking for. And I'm okay with that. It's, you know what? If I was running a magazine, I would be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, precisely. Because I mean, it's like I've not done like proper publishing, but I have had group projects.
Okay.
And when I've had these, I've been very specific about what I want. Because in my head, that's what I see, and I want them all the stories to fit. I don't want something sticking out like a sore thumb and ruining the flow. You know what I mean?
No, because everything has a rhythm too.
Exactly.
An anthology has a rhythm, and yes, and like I said, I totally get that. So I've gotten beyond that, you know, getting crushed by rejections. It's just part of the game.
Get the odd one every now and then when it's something I really wanted to get in. But I don't. I get it. It doesn't.
I do too.
Doesn't piss me off or anything. It's just like crap.
I know.
You know.
I've got a couple of stories out in the mix that I really, really am close to right here, and I want to see them published. And it does kill me a little bit when they don't, but it's still like, okay, moving on. I'm going to find the next place and shoot it out when it fits, because.
And sometimes
I know it's a good story.
Better. Sometimes it works, because I mean, I've had stories that I've sent for one call and I've thought I'd really like to get in that, but like the story hasn't been a perfect fit, because again, it's like the same, like a lot of my stuff is a bit weird and a bit not everything else in the anthology sort of thing.
Right.
And then something will pop up which it's perfect for.
Sure.
And I'll go, and I'll get in that, and it's almost like, well, for instance, it's like what we were talking about before with bunnies, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because it was an anthology, and the two requirements were someone's got to die and the bunny's next, or vice versa. And I was and I said I thought that was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. And then 2 hours later, I've got a story in my head. I'm like, God damn it. And then I wrote the story and I sent it to them. They said they liked it, but they were thinking more anthropomorphic rabbits that were actually interacting as characters, and this was more of a subtle, like a spirit kind of thing.
This is a Lovecraftian rabbit.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And it got rejected.
If it had tentacles, it could fit into the pantheon, in my opinion.
I'm going to work on that now. I've got something to shoot for.
You really should.
But then, you know, it got rejected several times. But then Madison got a hold of it, and they were like, "We love this story." Or actually, they're like, "Well, it doesn't fit the anthology, but what do you think about a mini book?"
Because you shot that for Little Girl Lost, didn't you? Or...
Yes, I did. Yeah, and it had a girl in it, but you know, again, it wasn't quite with what they were thinking about. But then they liked it enough to make a mini book out of it. And to me, the mini book, I'm like, hell, I got a mini book with my name on it. I'm just as happy with that as an anthology. So let's go.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, isn't it? I'm to be on something as well. And they were like, right, yeah, it's too long and it doesn't fit, but we'll put it out on its own.
Right. But that, you know, that was a huge compliment.
Detritus, that one. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It was about 3,000 words too long for the anthology it was supposed to be in, because I didn't read the word count because I'm an idiot.
Yes.
And they were like, yeah, it's just a bit weird, but we like it, so we'll put it out.
Right. You know, and that's the hard too. It's like you read through all these requirements for presses, and I've done it too. It's like I'll send something off.
Up in my head.
I do too, and I've sent stuff off, and they're like, "Oh,
down. I still get them jumbled up in my head."
I do too. It's like I've gotten rejections like, "Well, this is too long," or "This didn't fit." I'm like, "Damn it!" But you know, I was reading through, and I got 8 of the 10 things that they were talking about, but then I missed 2, and then I just screwed myself. But I was like, I did the best I could.
The one that the one that trips me up is because I'm so used to using the shun thing, right? Is when you'll get the odd like submission call that specifies that you use like a different style of manuscript presentation. So they don't want double spacing, they do want tabs.
I know.
And I don't read it, and they basically just don't even read it and send it back and say you haven't read the fucking guidelines, have you? It's like,
right. I know. Yeah.
My bad.
And some of them get very specific about.
Oh, some of them are just bizarre. It's like some really bizarre requirements.
I do too, and I assume that's so they can weed out, which means they probably get just hundreds of submissions, and they get too many to read, and it's like, well, we got to cut something for some reason. So I don't know, and maybe that's not it, but it's what it feels like. It wouldn't
surprise me, to be honest. That wouldn't surprise me because it is generally bigger publications that I've seen do that. So you may be onto something there. It may be just an easy way of narrowing the field a little.
Oh my God, I don't have to read that story because I've already got 60 some others I've got to go through.
Yeah.
It's an easy, regardless of whether, it's a good story or not. But that too, I just kind of go on wasn't meant to be, moving on, and I'll.
Yeah, me too. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. It's like, again, there's so many publishing houses now. There's so many calls.
Right. Yes.
If it's like a specific story, if it is quite a specific thing, just wait a couple of months. Something will pop up.
Right. And it does. I mean, I just got it was an underwater monster story with Jazz House. Nice. And it got picked up. And I kind of went off on a different tangent because I figured most people are doing the giant squid, giant octopus thing. And while I love those.
Or a shark. Yeah.
Yes. They've been done to death. And so I went off on a different bent and it got picked up. But it was, I think when I sent out to Jazz House, there were at least 3 other publications that were looking for underwater monster stories all at once, just out of the blue. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, well, I can't write more than one. I'm just not into it that much, but I got the one and that's cool. I was happy with the story and Jazz House too. So, but
excellent. No, that's good.
No, it's good. I love the underwater horror anyway. It's my favorite of all things. And I like the creepy
as
stuff.
we discussed, we're both
Cephalopodians.
Cephalopodians, yeah, man. Funny enough, actually, I actually bought this little fella today.
You know what? We got my wife one of those for her birthday. Yeah. Yes. She's got a purple and maybe black. I don't know, but it's purple. Purple's her color. So
they were selling them outside the bloody supermarket today. There was like a stall selling them, and I was like, oh.
We've got a mall down a couple miles out from us, and they've got a little kiosk in there, and they're selling those things. So
nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it had to be done. It saw me coming, man. The guy saw me reaching for the wallet. It's just like, don't care how much it is, I'm buying it.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because what you say, your mindset on that. When Eerie did It Call from the Sea, I thought on that one, I was like, everybody's going to do either Cthulhu, the Kraken, or Jaws.
Yes.
So I threw a curveball and I did Killer Seaweed. And I'm happy to say that I got in.
Yes. And I was pissed because I found out about that one too late. I didn't.
Shit. Yeah.
Because I checked the presses that I've been published with. I'll go back and check periodically and see what they're up to. But I'd gotten busy with stuff, and then I went and I saw that call, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And then it's like closed. I was like, "Damn it!" But so I totally blew that one. And but
it happens though, doesn't it? It's like this.
It does.
Yeah, especially when, like you say, because you're like me, aren't you? Like we said, we do troll for submissions.
I do, and from time to time, it's part of my process. Yeah,
they do. But some are going to slip the net. It's happened to me a few times. It was like, Oh crap! I've got something I could have sent to that.
I know. Yeah. And that's what ticks you off because you're like,
Yeah.
yes, I
It's
had a
all
really,
bollocks.
really
I've
good
actually got a
story.
story for that.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, it is what it is. But
Mm.
so what are you drinking today?
I'm on the Grolsch today.
Okay. The Grolsch.
Yeah.
I've had those. Yep.
Yeah. It's a like I say, because I stick to the Pilsner a lot because
Yep.
it's
Yep.
low
It's
sugar in it.
lighter
But
and
yeah,
yep,
it's
low
lighter,
sugar.
But it's also it's also on special offer down the supermarket at the minute. So
Yep. That always makes a difference.
it does when you're on a budget. It really does.
Yes, it does. I know because some of those, well, this I think this clown shoes was $8.99
Yeah.
American.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's not cheap.
Yeah, no, it's there's actually a place around the corner that me and my friends have dubbed God's Off License because it's just full of these amazing beers and gins and the stuff.
Yes.
And it's amazing, but you need a few quid if you're going in there.
Right.
We've
got an
yeah.
We've got an iconic grocery store downtown Iowa City called John's Grocery,
Nice.
but they have one of the best beer selections in the whole damn town. I mean, they get stuff from everywhere, and that's where I got this clown shoes, and they've just, if I'm really looking for some offbeat beers or stuff I've never tried, that's where I go because they just they take it very seriously and they stock all kinds of things. And
this guy who runs this place is like a savant of beer.
Yeah.
You go in and say, I fancy something a bit like this, or a bit, I've been there, or I'm having this to eat, or I fancy something a bit different. And this guy has like 18 recommendations.
right off the top of his head, and he's not even thinking about it. Yes.
Yeah. Knows his wines as well, which is good.
That's a whole different.
Especially being an ex-chef, I tend to cook with wine a lot.
Yeah.
So and drink it, of course, while I'm cooking.
Well, that's have to, right?
Of course. It's the perks, isn't it? It's the perks of the job.
Makes the day go quicker.
Go in the shop and saying, I'm cooking this tonight. What would you recommend? And he'll go,
right.
Ta-da!
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we a suburb further up north of where we are at. When I was growing up, it just used to be this little hole in the wall dive bar, local, really low brow beers and stuff. And then somebody else took it over in the last 5 years. And the guy that runs the bar now, he's got connections all over the world, and he buys like individual and 2 kegs of this, that, and the next thing from everywhere and anywhere. And so my buddy and I, we go in there once a month because he's got a board where he writes down everything that's available, and they're flipping. They're flipping out kegs every week of this, that, and the next thing, and there's always something new to try. And I love that place. And like I said, when I was growing up, it was just a shithole. It was just a local.
We discussed this before as well. We discussed this last time, when we were like America, like the beer in America. You go back like 20 or 30 years, it was garbage.
It was garbage.
It was dreadful. It was it was just watery, fizzy shit. And then I
blame my grandfather for not liking beer because he used to drink this Pabst Blue Ribbon crap. And that was the first beer I ever tried. And I'm like, well, this is a waste of time. What the hell? And
that was our equivalent was Watney's Red Barrel. And that was the shit that we had like growing up. Cans of Watney's fucking Red Barrel. It was just it was literally like water. It was horrible.
Right? And so
Party 7. It was a big can like that, and you had to open it with a screwdriver. And by the time you'd opened it, it was flat.
Right?
So it was just horrible.
That was the equivalent of our 40s over here. They're just big bottles of yeah.
With the Party 7. God, it was shit. It really was.
But now the craft beer scene is just crazy over here. I mean, even Iowa City, I can go in several different places. I can always find new beers that I've never ever tried, and it's amazing. It's fun.
What I'm really liking about it as well, because it's actually bringing, it's weird because it's actually bringing life to some like areas that didn't have it. Because you've got the same thing over there that we've had. Like we've got all these really sort of rundown old industrial estates.
Yes.
Where there's nothing there anymore. So these guys are going in and buying like a lockup.
Yep.
And starting a brewery out of it. Because I've seen it in like, I saw a documentary on like California wine. And there was all these like the sort of underground wine brewing in California. Okay. And it's all these guys that are buying like lockups on these old industrial complexes.
Right.
And making some amazing wines and selling them out like the local bars and stuff.
Yes.
So it's actually regenerating the area a little
bit.
Yeah. Like, all the shit that's laid empty, you know? Yeah.
And I think last time I was telling you about this Cedar Sunset Cidery, they made wine for a time, and now they've shifted over to ciders. And they infuse their ciders with honey and yogurt and all kinds of different things to get all kinds of different tastes. I just learned a story 2 weeks ago at this 76 Legion, talking to the guy who runs the bar, that the Sunset Cidery, he was making a cider and his daughter, I don't know, they had a vat going and she tripped and accidentally dumped a bunch of junk into this cider batch.
Right.
And he's like, well, this is ruined. And he had a cigar he was smoking. He said, well, that's screwed. And he tossed that in too. And then they pumped it out and strained it and did everything. And now it's something they put out called Gorilla Glue, but it's like a French toast thing. And they actually put cigars in it now because it adds some subtle flavor to it.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it's just, and they're just experimenting all the time with different flavors, different combinations. And I have yet to drink a cider of theirs that I have not just awed over. It's crazy. Yeah. They're really crazy good.
I mean, we've got a brewery up in Scotland called Brewdog, and their whole thing, it was literally two guys that started out this brewery, and they're basically making, they started out with something called Punk IPA. And it was basically this India Pale Ale made in like they made in that like their understairs cupboard or some shit.
Yes.
And they were selling it like their marketing thing was a bench in Edinburgh, and people had come and they'd buy these bottles and stuff like that. And it just grew. And some of their ideas are like they're just bonkers. It's just like, oh, I wonder what happened if we threw that in it. See what happens.
Yes. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm always kind of, I like certain beers, but I love trying new stuff. And so I'm always looking for different.
Me too.
Yeah. It's just fun.
I mean, because obviously working in pubs and things all my life, I've always been a member of what we've called CAMRA over here.
Okay.
It's Campaign for Real Ale. It's like a group, and they list all the pubs that sell real ales around the country.
Cool.
They do beer festivals and beer tours and all this. And it's like, so if I was going to say, randomly picking a town, Cambridge, right? If I was going up to Cambridge, I'd go on the CAMRA website and I'd pull up their map of Cambridge and it'd show all the pubs on there that sell like four or five plus proper beers. And it'd be like, right then, I'm staying in that hotel, so I'm going to do stations here, hotels there. I'll do that one, that one, that one, and that one.
Right. We've got an app called Untapped.
Nice.
And we've been laughing lately because we're like, okay, really, this is just proof for the authorities to put us away if they ever check our Untapped account, because you can check in beers that you try from different places, and it'll tell you, you know, you can look for similar things, you can look for venues, all kinds of stuff, but then it also keeps track of how many beers you've checked in over a period of time and this and that. And so I'm like, yeah, the cops ever check my Untapped account, I'm just going away for several years, because I've had this account since 2014, and I
see you wobbling down the high street. You're in the drunk tank, mate.
Right. Yeah. Can we see your Untapped account, sir?
Yeah.
No.
Shit.
But
We have
Again-
sending you off to the Betty Ford clinic. Yeah.
right. Yep. But I like trying different flavors, and I'm all across the board. I love my ciders. IPAs and sours have really gotten big over here, at least around here.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the big.
I do. I like my IPAs. I like my IPAs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those have got that bitter
I
aftertaste.
used to drink a lot of cider, which is probably another. I used to drink cider and stout. It's probably no wonder I'm type 2 diabetic.
Right.
Well, I lived in the West Country. I lived in Devon.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's all that's there.
Cider
Ciders.
country.
Yes.
And some of this stuff you can stand up a fucking spoon in it.
I know. Well, and some of the
Bright
stouts.
orange.
Yes, some of the stouts that I grabbed some beers this week for my buddy Mark and I, and yeah, some of them we were pouring, and they were pretty thick, and
You
they
can spoon it out.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Well, I remember that when sort of like I went to Ireland, like with a bunch of mates when we just left school. We went like for a holiday out on the Razzle in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, and we were staying at this farm. We had a tent. We pitched a tent up in this farm.
Okay.
It wasn't far outside of Belfast because we went to see a band over there and stuff like that. And the farmer brewed his own stout.
that's awesome.
And my God, it was like treacle. It was seriously. It was, it's like
Just come oozing out of the can.
It's just like, seriously, you could eat it drink it with your fingers. It's
Uh-huh.
oh
yes.
God,
It's good stuff.
So nice as well. It was just so but my God, my head hurt the following morning.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, and that's the trade too, man. Some of these beers coming out. I mean, it's the local or the domestic beers are like 2% and 3%, and these things are like 10 and 12, and
that was always the thing that made us British laugh at American beer.
Right.
Was
the old Monty.
So weak.
Right, the Monty Python joke about beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, and I totally agree. It was like, it is.
Yeah.
It's carbonated water with a little bit of alcohol infused into it. Not much taste.
Sort of whizzed about on it.
Right. Yeah. But now, man, they got some crazy
that's
stuff
good
out there.
Stuff now, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the beers that's really taken off over here is a Brooklyn lager.
Okay.
It's actually from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
But that's taken off over here.
Okay.
Like pubs have gone, this is really good stuff.
Okay.
So it's actually, so we're actually importing quite a bit of American stuff in now. Another one I'm a fan of is an American one. It's Blue Moon. I don't know where it's from.
That, you know what? That is actually Miller Genuine Draft. That is a Miller product.
Is it?
Yes. And you know what? That's one of my favorites. If I go out to a bar, that's usually what I'm drinking.
Right.
That's funny. Because we put a slice of orange with it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a wheat beer. But I think I'm a fan of the German Weiss beers anyway.
Yep.
And that is kind of like
yes,
a version of it. But it's nice. It's good stuff. I like it.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It's nice, even flavor. Yep. It's my go-to beer when I'm out at a restaurant.
Because obviously a lot of like real ales and stuff, it's not cold. It's
room temp.
But that's but in the summer with the orange and everything, sitting outside in the sun with one of them and with an orange, lovely.
I go through a lot of those, and it's on tap here a lot. And most places have Blue Moon on tap.
More and more over here.
I like it a lot. It's like I said, it's one of my go-to beers for just out hanging out and go to a restaurant and have friends or whatever. Yep.
It's a nice session drink, isn't it?
It is kind of a session drink.
Because I mean it's about 5% or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's not too heavy.
No,
and it's refreshing and it's nice. It goes well with a burger and stuff like that. If you're out having food.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is. I don't know what it is, but that slice of orange just adds that kick punch to it that makes it perfect.
It really lifts it, doesn't it? Because I've had it out and it wasn't the same.
I have too. Well, we've talked about that because I have tried Blue Moon in a can and in a bottle.
Yep.
And I don't enjoy it.
No,
but
I've
fresh
tried,
out of
I've
the
tried it out
tap.
of a bottle. I've never had it in a can. I've never seen the cans on there.
I've
had
had
it
the
out of a
cans.
bottle. It was too fizzy. It wasn't right.
No, it is totally different beer.
Mm.
And I can only drink it out of the tap. If it ever goes away, I'll cry. But
Yeah. Yeah, my partner will. She loves it. It's one of her favorites. She loves that beer.
yes, I
Yeah.
like I said, it's my go-to if I don't know what else to get, or if I'm not in the mood for something dark and heavy. It's like, yeah, you got Blue Moon, I'll take one, and I'll sit and drink those. Yeah, no, that's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's one of it, which is great because like when I was growing up, the only American beers you had Budweiser in bottles, which isn't that bad when
No,
it comes as it compared to some of the other crap we had. But I mean, we had. I remember once I bought a pint of Coors because it was the
yes,
only thing they had, and I couldn't taste anything. There was
no,
no taste.
it's like carbonated water
It was
with a
just like
little.
there's no taste to this at all.
Yes, yes, yep.
It was like what are the one beer we have over here that everybody takes the piss out of. It's Carling Black Label because that's
Yes.
exactly the same. It's like 3% and it tastes like water. It's
Right.
beer for people
Yep.
who don't like beer. It's
Yes.
just-
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's awesome. Yep, that's funny.
Yeah. Oh, the other one was Foster's, which is alleged. It's supposed to be Australian, but it's
Yes.
actually brewed in Wales.
That's awesome. Yeah, the big Foster's cans. Yes,
Yeah,
that's funny.
another one. It's like you can sit and drink like 15 of these bloody things and not feel a thing.
Right. Well, and
'Cause it
that's
just
why
goes
people
straight
do it.
through you.
Right. Well, and that Pabst Blue Ribbon crap has made a
Yeah.
comeback here because
Has it?
it's so cheap. And so the
Mm.
college students drink it because they can buy a
That's why
case
we
of
have
it.
that's why we have Carling Black Label and Foster's.
Yes.
It's for
Mhm.
it's for students.
Yeah, poor college students who can't
Poor
afford
students,
anything
yeah.
decent. Yes. Well, I'll buy a case of Pabst for $10 and then, we got beer supposedly.
Mm.
So, but
But
that's
yeah,
funny.
It's no wonder like the first time that half these like, 'cause I don't know if you have the same thing here, that half the time like you get these younger kiddies, right? They're drinking all this shite, these cans, right? So they
Yes.
think they can drink a lot.
Right.
And they go down the pub and they have a proper couple of pints.
Right. And they're
And
down.
it floors them.
Yes. Right. And yes. And I'm used to drinking at least 5 to 10% beers most of the time.
Yeah.
If I'm going to drink something. And
Yeah.
occasionally, Budweiser has a Bud Light Lime that I like in the summers because it's
I've
really
had that. It's nice. Yeah.
yes, it is nice, and I like that. Like I said, it's like a summer sit out on the deck kind of beer, or
I've
sit
never
outside.
had a problem with Budweiser, but mainly because it
Yeah.
tastes all right. It's just under 5%. It's
Right.
perfectly serviceable. If I'm
Yeah.
a few bit low on cash, I'll get a
Right.
4-pack of Bud.
Right.
I like my pro wrestling, so there's something I like.
Okay.
I like to get my Budweiser and a hot dog
Right.
and watch my pro
Yes.
wrestling.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
That's all good.
Exactly. Some things have a sense of place, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Budweiser
they
and a
do.
hot dog goes well with pro wrestling.
Yep. Or any kind of sports. Yes.
Yes, but yeah. This is it, isn't it? It's just
It
like,
is.
it's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yep. That's cool.
Right. Again, we've gone off on a tangent as we do.
Well, I'm fine with tangents. They're fun.
Me too, mate. No, it's been great to have you back.
That's cool.
Great to have you back. We've just kind of picked up again talking about beer.
I know. Yeah. That's that's where the conversation goes.
Exactly, mate. I've got to bring attention to. Is that Chewy behind you?
The clown shoes.
No, Chewbacca. Is that Chewbacca out hiding?
Where are you looking? Probably.
Between the two bookcases.
Yes, that's him.
Yeah, I thought it was. He's been
And-
all night. He's been there, and I was like, "Is that Chewy?"
Yes. Let me bring him into the forefront.
Yeah, do it, man.
I got him for Christmas, and if you squeeze,
oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
yeah, yep, yes, he's
brilliant.
He's yes.
You gotta love Chewie. Yeah, he's
I
my
love Chewie,
favorite
yes.
out of the whole,
Yes.
whole thing.
Well, he's got the most personality of most of the characters.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And he's the hero pretty much all the way through.
yes,
If it weren't for Chewie, they'd have been screwed right in the beginning.
right, because he kept the Millennium Falcon afloat, and
yep,
Han
exactly.
and Luke and everybody.
Exactly.
Yep.
Millennium Falcon would be in a ditch somewhere waiting for the RAC
Right.
if it wasn't for Chewie.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No,
that's
brilliant.
funny. So yeah, I like my toys too. So
yeah, same. Yeah. well.
yeah, I know. Yep.
No, it's I mean, I collect things as well. I've actually got an interactive Yoda up there, all kinds of Star Warsy stuff around. We've actually, I imagine it's the same range. We've got one of them porgs.
Oh yeah.
That makes the noise. Yeah.
Yes.
Because my partner thinks they're ridiculously cute, and she thinks the best thing about the later ones was the scene with Chewie and the porg.
Yes. Yep.
That was the best thing about them in her mind.
Right. My wife fell in love with the Grogu from the Mandalorian series.
Oh,
and so
yeah, so did Linda, man.
Oh man, so
I think everybody did. I did.
Yeah, if you don't, you're just not.
You've got no soul, I know.
Right, I think so. Yeah, no, but Jenny is especially taken to Grogu. So every birthday, holiday, and stuff, we're hunting down things for her, and she's finding things, and yeah, that's her thing. So,
no, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's cool.
I was really seriously impressed with that because
I was too.
That key. I didn't have that much of a problem with the later Star Wars film, the Disney ones, as a lot of people did. I enjoyed them for what they were.
I did too. They were okay.
And they had some great scenes and everything. They just did. You know.
But
I was seriously impressed with The Mandalorian because
I was too.
You know, if to me it felt like a Western.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. That's a perfect
like the
way.
bits where he comes into town and it was good, the bad, and the ugly.
It was. Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah, I mean, some of them shootouts and stuff, I was expecting the.
Right. Yep.
You even had like the Lee Van Cleef character, didn't you? And all.
Right. Exactly. That's interesting. I wonder if they modeled that at all or used that as a baseline for. Because that is a perfect way to describe that.
Yeah, but even the music was almost.
It Western. Was. Yep.
Yeah. I love that.
And the characters, and it was.
So I was just like, "Oh, this is great."
Well, and it really was kind of like Wild Wild West everywhere they went. There was, the law was iffy, and it really did.
Planets. And,
yep.
Yeah. And I like the way that a lot of the episodes started with him sort of putting down on this sort of out of the way place, and some kind of something terrorizing the locals.
And
it's full of dollars right there.
right. Yep. And he'd get pulled in for one reason or another. And yes. No, I never thought of it that way, but that's a perfect description of it.
It was really funny because I hadn't watched it and I was actually moaning to my partner that I hadn't seen a good Western in years. I was like, I haven't made a decent Western in fucking decades,
Right.
And then this come on.
Right. No, that's amazing. I'll have to mention that to Jenny too, because that's a perfect description of what that really is. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, the Wild West in space. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Right. It was kind of like, did you ever watch Firefly?
Oh, I loved Firefly.
I did too.
Yeah. One of the episodes in that is one of my favorite TV episodes of all time. Janetown.
Yes. That was hilarious.
Genius. Like absolute genius.
Yes, it was.
It's a place that reveres this complete and total arsehole.
Yes. Right. And he's just eating it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and yes, that is an awesome episode. Yes,
No, I loved Firefly. Yeah.
I did too.
I was
They
one of
were-
the people who was sending abusive emails to Fox.
I was too, because it was such a perfect show, and then they killed
Yeah.
it, and I'm like, oh my god,
But it
you
was so
dumb.
unlike anything else, especially at that
It was.
time. And it was just
Yes, and it was Western-esque.
oh,
For
very much so. Yeah.
yeah,
Very much so. It was space
all
Western.
this sure frontier towns and all this, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially
no, that
that one with Jane, who's even all
Oh,
wearing
yes.
the bloody silly cowboy hat and everything.
yes, that was a good episode. That's awesome.
Cool.
Cool.
Right. Probably start wrapping this up.
Or we'll be here all night.
We will be here all night. Cool. Yeah, you'll have
Cool.
to come on again. Doors
Oh,
open
that's
again
fine.
next
Maybe we'll
time.
just talk.
Yeah.
I
Next
say
time we have
actually
something, give us a shout.
we're talking about maybe trying to get to Scotland in the next couple of years. So
Oh,
if we
cool.
do, I'm going to keep you in the loop, because maybe we can meet up and go have a
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah, do so.
I'd love to
Yeah.
hit you in person and just hang out.
Yeah,
So,
cool. I'm definitely up for that, mate. Yeah, keep me in
That's
the loop.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
keep me in the
will.
loop.
I don't know
Yeah.
when it'll happen, but we keep talking about it. Depends on everything else going on in the world. But
The world, yeah.
if we can get overseas, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So
No, definitely keep me in the loop. It's like I said,
sure.
train station is literally over the road.
There you go. That's cool.
Yeah. Excellent. And mate, I'm one of them people. Beer, Tim, over here, beer.
Yep.
Yeah. like on the stick,
me too.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly. That's
Brilliant.
awesome.
Oh,
Cool.
Nice one, mate. Right. Yes. Tonight, my guest has been Craig Crawford. And here's how you can check out his website. That is, there we go, craiglcrawfordbooks.com. Again, these will be underneath and all the rest of it. So click
Sure.
the link underneath. But it's always nice to have the cardboard, isn't it?
Yes. Heck yeah.
His latest, I didn't realize it was up for pre-order. I will put
I
that
didn't either.
underneath.
Yeah, sure.
So
That's
if you want to check out, go to the publisher is Manison Press. That is manisonpress.com. I'm sure there's links to it there. If not, like I say, I will put it underneath. Yeah. And I'm Tim Mendes. We want to check out my random waffling and stuff. That is Tim Mendes writer.wordpress.com. That's I really should shorten that. Mendes writer.wordpress.com.
It's unique.
Craig, bloody pleasure. Thank you, man.
You too, man. Always love talking to you. We always have a good time.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I was thinking of it's an older sci-fi, really dark novel, but it's called Liege Killer. I'll send you a link to it, but it's a dark sci-fi book that I read that it just blew me away. It's futuristic and it's just crazy and
cool.
Very adult, very just off kilter. The author wrote the first one, and it was the same kind of thing we were talking about. I think the publisher came back and said, well, you got to write more. And I don't know that he was really into it because the sequels were, no offense, but they were not near as good. And it felt like he was kind of forced into it.
It happens, doesn't it? If somebody's had something that's a one shot and then they're forced into more, yeah.
But the first one, it's still one of my favorite books of all time. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just crazy good. It's post-apocalyptic. Everybody on Earth is living in space stations circling the Earth because the Earth has been bombed out and nuclear, and there's, it's uninhabitable. And actually there was the crux of it is, before they left Earth, there was a Scottish science team that built, or they genetically engineered 2 humans to share one brain, or one. And so they call them paratois. And so basically it's like your brain controls 2 bodies, like 2 hands, and then they get loose on Earth and people are breeding them to be assassins, and they're just horrible things. And then the apocalypse happen and Earth's up in space and they think they're free of these things. And then somebody wakens one and it comes loose on all these colonies. And it's just, it is a crazy good novel. I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah, send me a link. That sounds great. Anyway,
because all right, sorry.
No,
Nope.
So do the goodbye. We'll carry on talking in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, goodbye to everybody out there. I'll see you again soon. This is Craig Crawford. Thank you very much, people.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.